Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Today, we'll be looking at a very vital topic, something that have ravaged the hearts of the young ones, something that have formed a menace in the society and has created a huge disadvantage for our future. Today, we'll be talking about internet fraud. You know, I was seeing a movie recently, The Beekeeper, and this stars Jason Stratham. And in the opening scene, it shows an elderly woman who have just been scammed of her entire life savings and everything, and she ended up committing suicide. Now, this might be a fictional movie, but this shows just one of the many impacts that internet fraud have caused in ravaging our society. A whole lot of young men and women have justification for the things that they do. They blame it to the system that runs in the economy, the system that have made it difficult to thrive. Blame it on our colonial masters and all that. But where exactly did internet fraud start? Where is the origin of this? Where is the origin of the crime of internet fraud? Where did this start from?
Just to add to the story that you pointed out, though that was The Beekeeper, you said it was fictional. I think we have to be realistic here.
Yeah.
Personally, I know of a story of a friend, a senior friend, senior colleague whose dad, who had lectured for years, this was his entire savings, around 20-something million naira. Wow. And it was stolen. And this eventually led to his death. Yes, wow. It was his entire savings that was drained. This probably happened 4 years ago. Yes, and there are numerous stories that I have experienced, not on a personal note, but closely.
Yeah.
Right. So when we speak about the origin of fraud, or the patterns that has led to this menace, I think for me, two things. Okay. Right. Irresponsibility, which is simply apportioning blame to someone else or something else, but not you as a person. Yeah. We live in a generation that is seemingly angry with the nation they are in. Yeah. Right. We live in a generation that has an ill feeling towards its government. Yeah. So we blame the government, we'll blame our politicians, we'll blame the economy, we'll blame the increase in dollars, right? Trying to lay claims to this as to justify why we go into fraud, right? And secondly, I would also attach this genesis, to our educational system. Now, why our educational system? I have been thinking about this. Why? Because of the influx of young people, the statistics and the numbers has to show exactly the number of young people who are going into fraud. It means that for some reason, they've seen it as part of a system for making money.
So what is wrong with the system of education that we operate on?
I'll tell you, and I think you probably would understand this literally. Right from our primary school, secondary school, tertiary institutions, right? We have the system of our education has allowed students to find creative ways of indulging in all forms of malpractice, regardless of the systems that these institutions have put to impede or to stop malpractice. Right? And over time, because the brain can't tell if what you're doing is wrong or right. It's just functioning. Right? And after a while, what has happened is the brain has adjusted more and more into these little patterns of finding creative ways of finding or creating negative solutions. Right?
No.
Yes.
No. The school system that we operate in this nation, what is wrong with it is this. It doesn't test the things you know or understand.
No, it doesn't.
It tests the things that you can remember.
Which is the memory.
Yes, your memory. Yeah. Because when you're being given an exam and you're being asked a question, it's the things you're taught that you're asked to remember and replicate. Now, that is a test of intelligence and IQ. every single person have different measures of intelligence, right?
Yeah.
But we all have varying degrees of brilliance and creativity that cannot be measured.
Yeah.
So when you test young people on a measure, on an ability to remember, you're testing every single person on an equal ground.
Yeah.
It's a huge disadvantage to some to test them on our ability to remember. The school system is supposed to test people on the things they understand. You're not supposed to test information. You're supposed to test application, the practicality of the information. Now, students are now obligated to explore and express their creativity into passing an exam that should have tested the creativity in the first place. It's not testing their ability to remember. So this creativity, this understanding is what people spend time to come up with creative ways for malpractice.
You have no idea. You have no idea the different creative patterns I saw while I was in school. I remember one time, I remember this was in the university. This was a final year exam, right? People have used all kinds of systems, the earpod. There was this time, it's funny, but it's true. I saw this and I paused. This was ingenuity, right? This guy was putting on a white shirt. A white shirt. The shirt was thick, right? And just when you flip it over, you have answers that he has written. And he wrote it upside down in such a way that when you tilt it, you will see. They searched him and they saw nothing, right? I was just a few feet away from him, and I saw this and I paused, right? And I marveled at the creativity that it would take a student, right? Because he's smart, right? But he's trying to create a level playing ground that would give him an advantage because I mean we are more the education system makes us to be more result oriented than process oriented.
Right? Because if the ability to remember is being tested, which is on unequal ground, people resolve to creating this equality with their creativity and with their ingenuity, their brilliance and all that. But here is the thing. Every single person who is involved in one form of internet fraud or the other, they are not just creative or brilliant, even if most of them have this. Most of them are not really creative or brilliant. One of the things that differentiates them from the rest of the people is that they have a personality trait that is distinct from the normal personality trait of normal individuals. Number one is narcissism. This talks about when a person have a sense of self-importance. It's not just about serving people, wanting to see people or see lives improve. It's about them when they make everything about them. The second have to do with Machiavellism. That is when an individual goes ahead to manipulate, come up with conniving means of getting what they want from others. They go ahead to manipulate and, play mental, psychological games to get things from people. And the third have to do with psychopathy. Most of the individuals that you see that go into fraud are psychopaths. What this means is that they are more prone to taking risk. It's risky to want to defraud someone with every single law in place, knowing you can be caught, knowing you can be jailed, and you still go ahead to do it. But here's the thing. These three personality traits have one common characteristics, and that is commonality. Commonality, it's when a person is doing something that have a great impact, a great negative impact, and they make it common, they trivialize it for you. Now, when you sit and talk with any single person who have been involved in one form of internet fraud or crime or the other, they are going to let you understand that this doesn't really mean anything. We are just taking back what they stole from us, what the British, what our colonial masters took from us. We are just trying to make ends meet with the bad government, the bad economy, the bad system of corruption and all that. It's not really our fault. Like, we are really improving the economy.
This goes to point to what I mentioned, irresponsibility as part of the the foundation that these people tend to lean on to endorse this very, insane, crazy approach to making money, right? Because it's funny that I've met people one-on-one.
Yeah.
This was probably 2 years ago. 2 years ago, still in school.
Yeah.
Still in school. And it happens that most people who are in polytechnics, who are in the university, are the ones who are indulging more in this activity.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost as though they have accepted fraud as a system for making money. They have legalized it in their mind.
Yeah.
And of course we're going to speak about this paradigm shift, how it happened.
Yeah.
Right. But the point I'm trying to make here is that there is this entitlement that they have when it has to do with defrauding people.
Yes, it's a personality trait thing. Now, in my opinion, the one personality trait that most people are not seeing, especially the psychologists, is that it's that of wickedness.
Yeah.
These people are not just hardworking, they are wicked. Wickedness talks about the fact that you've seen that something is wrong. For you to be a successful fraudster, someone have to lose something valuable. Someone have to lose something that I've worked on for years. This person also have to be vulnerable.
There's this story that happened, and I'm trying to be realistic here, down to earth.
Yeah.
I met this young man in school, and I met him through a friend.
Yeah.
And this was when I was in school. That was like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. And probably my third year or something. And I was interacting with this young man. I mean, he just bought a new car, and I knew that he wasn't doing anything.
Yeah.
Right. So I was asking him. I created this environment that allowed him to express himself.
Yeah.
And he told me of this young woman who is in one of these developed nations.
Yeah.
Right. And this woman, he literally defrauded her at the time of, I think, $10,000.
Yeah.
Right. But now this was the problem. This was the problem why he was, giving me this information.
Yeah.
This woman was a single mom.
Yeah.
Right. And the only child, the only daughter, was hospitalized, was in coma at the time.
Wow.
Yes, at the time. And the money that she sent to this young man was the only money she had left to keep on paying for the daughter's intake of oxygen at the hospital. Right? But this guy had to take advantage of her vulnerability, right? Her emotions. Yeah. She sent the money because with the intent that this guy would send the money back. So it was after she sent the money that she was now telling him what she needed the money for. Wow. Yes. And this guy was going to ghost, was going to end the communication. Yeah. Right? And this goes to endorse what you just mentioned, that this is pure wickedness.
It's pure wickedness. Every single time that you are successful as a fraudster, someone lost something valuable. Every single time that you celebrate a fraudster, you're celebrating wickedness.
Yes.
This is someone's hard work. This is someone's sweat, blood, and tears over the years, and they have to lose it for you to celebrate this. Now, the justifiable reason you have on, the colonial masters and all that, so you have to bring back the word they took. The biggest fraud, one of the biggest fraud that have been committed in Nigeria by Emmanuel Woody, runs in hundreds of millions of dollars.
Probably about $200-something million.
It was committed against a bank in Brazil, Brazilians. And the question is, were Brazilians our colonial masters? Most of the crimes that is committed is not committed against our colonial masters, because these people have created an organized system that can detect fraud and crime. So the crime is usually against the vulnerable ones, the elderly, vulnerable ones in USA, who were also colonized by the same people that colonized us.
And this vulnerability goes to point to both systems and people.
Yes.
Right? Systems and people. Because that is actually what these people look out for.
Yes.
To breach a system or to breach an individual.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Now here is the thing. How exactly is internet fraud committed? How do these people get to successfully commit a crime and go away with it successfully? There is something that they call an update. Whenever they get an update, when they say update doesn't cast and all that, and whenever they have the place they call HK where they gather to do their things. What update simply means is a new element that have been introduced into the system of operation in the world that makes it easy for them to commit a crime. That is what an update is. For instance, with the advent of artificial intelligence, AI, that is an update. Why? Because it's easier for voices to be cloned, faces to be cloned. It's easier to do a whole lot of things. So any person who gets an update on how to clone a voice, clone a face, gathers people in HK and teaches them how to carry this out successfully.
There was this. I bumped in on this on YouTube, and this was actually, I've forgotten the senator.
Yes.
Right. He got a call, and this happened because of the advent, inflow of AI. Right. And he said he got a call, and this was his son's voice.
Oh wow.
Yes, his son, telling him that he just got involved in a motor accident, right? And right now that he's fine, but that he hit someone, his car's damaged, and then just someone's life is at stake, right? And he was shocked because the son just left.
Yes.
Right, and the call dropped. Life story. I'm saying this because of what you just said about the whole update thing and with the AI and all of that. And the call dropped, and just when he and then the call said that he should send $90,000. Yes, $90,000. Now he was about to send the money, but on the second thought, he said he should call the sister, the daughter rather, the sister of his son, right, to affirm if this actually happened. And and the guy called back, because that's what they do. They are impatient, and they take advantage of your impatience as well. Yes, it's what they do. So the guy really called back and said that right now that he needs to send that money right now so that this other person who he has hit doesn't call the police, because he was wrong. As a matter of fact, he was drinking and driving. Yes, drinking and driving. And this man was really tense, was under pressure, right? But he's a senator, right? Now he said, okay, that his son shouldn't worry. Let him call the FBI to tell them, and the guy wouldn't let him make the call, right? And the only thing that stopped him from sending the money was that the daughter calls for something different, right? And the dad now said, have you heard what happened to your brother? And said, I just spoke with him. He's at the office. He's at the office. And he called his son, FaceTimed him, and they spoke, and the son was actually at the office. Now, he said he was shocked because this person was speaking with him with his son's voice.
Exactly.
Cloned.
Exactly.
So this update, yes.
Before asking you, what really makes a person a victim of internet fraud? How do people become victims of this? Now, before asking you that, I want to make this statement. The same system that a fraudster claims created them, the same system of difficulty that the government have created, the same system of hardship is still the same molding block for people who want to do the right things. For instance, the easiest place to create something that works is in a place where nothing works.
True.
A place like Nigeria, where you have systems that are not works. There's some ideas you go out there in the world to establish, and you find out you need a lot of protocols, you need a lot of so many things to get it to work. But right here where nothing works, just a little sparkle of light becomes too excellent and glamorous in the eyes of people. So the same excuse that a person have for going into crime is the same environment that a person have for doing something right. The same system.
Just hearing you say this, I was thinking about this a few days ago, and I realized something.
Yeah.
That we have a generation that have not been trained to understand and take advantage of tough times. Right? Every nation has been at the same spot.
Yeah.
Yes.
True.
Every first world nation used to be a third world nation.
Yeah.
Right? And it took people who, because it's all about, we have a lot of untapped resources.
Yes.
Natural resources, human resources.
Yeah.
Right? And these are literally the bedrock for innovation, for transformation.
Yes, very
right?
true.
But we've not been trained on how to take advantage of tough times. And if we lose this, I do not think that Nigeria is going. I mean, because this crisis, this looming crisis, is not about what is happening in the nation. It's what is happening with its people.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And we need a paradigm shift more than ever.
Yeah.
For us, someone called this adversity quotient. Right. What to do with tough times.
Yeah.
How to take advantage of it. How to utilize it and create things that the world will literally come to Nigeria to look for. Because right now, what we call the first world nations have exhausted their resources.
Yeah. We think the problem in this nation is the leaders.
Yeah.
That the leaders are bad, they're making things wrong and all that. But guess what? The only thing that is worse than a bad leader is a bad follower.
Literally.
Why? Because
literally
the selection for leadership will always come from the followers every single time.
Yeah.
So why Nigeria operates on a system of corruption is because the followers, those are the people who the leadership will come from, have a system of corruption inside of them. The most important factor of every single system is its people.
Yeah.
So when you have a generation of young people that are looking forward or looking up to fraudsters as its role model, you will be certain that in the next 10, 20 years, the people who will be up to be selected as leaders will be the people who have the experience of progressing through crime. And those are the people who will be up there to be selected. They will be glamorized as the best options we have. But these are people who have foundational elements of crime in them.
Talking about looking up to people, right? It's important that we see that in a way that is also one of the roadmap that is leading to this whole internet fraud thing with a generation.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, right now we are in an information age, right? Driven literally by social media, right? And most of these young people. Now, I need to say this: that we have a generation of people who don't have models. Yeah, they don't have models. They don't have role models. What they have are celebrities, right? And you can't use the life of a celebrity as a mold for something you want or for who you want to become. For one reason, everything you see on the internet is not true. Right? But what has happened is that people now want to live I need to find
that have been glamorized by the internet. That takes away the hard work behind the scene. The process that makes the result.
Let's talk about some of the top celebrities we have in this nation. The likes of Burna Boy, Wizkid, right? Davido, right? These people have been in the music industry for decades. Decades. You need to see. I know a little bit of the level of hard work that goes behind the scene to have brought these people to the global scene and recognition that
years of consistency,
years of hard work, years of putting in, of not sleeping, of paying the price, right? And you now wake up seeing that level of result, you do not want to. You want to bypass the process, and enjoy the result. And it's one of the issues that we have here and now, right? A generation that do not want to delay gratification. That's one word. That's another key word. Everything that we want it now. We don't want to pay the price. We just want to have the result, right? And there is always a means to an end. Right. So it's important that we understand that one of the things that we are missing as a generation are role models. People that we literally have to people that we have to look up to, want to literally become. Right. Now, just one question, because I want to be sure. I think I have an idea, but I want to be sure. Do you actually think we don't have role models in this nation?
As far as this nation is concerned, for the young ones, there are just a few people who are role models. The reason I say this is that there are people, a role model have to present every single aspect of your life, including your mistakes, flaws, and all that, and still give you the opportunity to be excellent and productive. So we have people who model spirituality. We have people who model finances. We have people who model mentality, the right attitude and mentality and all that. We have people who model relationship and all this. But it's difficult to see a person who models this collectively for young people. So they have to depend on something for entertainment. They have to depend on something else for spirituality. They have to depend on something else for relationship. And it only takes one contaminant to destroy every other thing. So the contamination might be coming from entertainment. Even if spirituality and every other thing is set right, once that one contamination creeps in, it makes you pursue results and diminish the effort of the process that every other aspect have created. But by the way, I'm now interested in what really makes a person a victim of a crime, of internet fraud. How do people become victims of this? Is it that people don't know? Because I believe people are aware that there are fraudsters, that they can be defrauded and all that. What really makes a person a victim? What makes a person a victim of crime and fraud?
First of all, I think we don't have adequate awareness about fraud. Yes, I've looked into this, and one of the things. I mean, let's talk about, for instance, right, HIV/AIDS, right, or malaria, typhoid, right. There's vast awareness about this because of how dangerous it is to the health of an individual. Right. So you see that on ads, you see that on. I don't know if you get the picture. So I think that we're not still aware. There's no awareness of the level of damage that this is causing, both to the nation, families, and then individuals. Right. So I think we need to, and it's part of what this thing is for as well, to create an awareness. But I think there are two things for me. There are two things. There could be more, right? Vulnerability, right? They take advantage of people who are vulnerable. Systems that are vulnerable, right? I also think that they take advantage of people's impatience. Because they themselves are impatient, right? They take advantage, and there's a third one I bumped into, weeks ago. Trust. They capitalize on your level of trust. A lot of people trust without information, and that is dangerous. Right.
And you also have people who trust naively. Yes. Trust that is built on naivety. Now here's the thing. I personally believe that every single person has vulnerability. It's impossible to live without being vulnerable. It means you'll always be taken advantage of. Now, don't forget that you're working with a master manipulator. These people are manipulative, they're self-absorbed, and they also make these things common. So that means even if you don't you delay gratification, you don't have sight to create wealth without the process and all that, you could still be taken advantage of because you're vulnerable. So now, what is the solution to that? How can you help a person who is just an innocent victim of a crime? They don't really want to make this wholesome wealth the wrong way. They're just victims. And how can people be helped? Even if people are informed, in my opinion, even if people are informed, they'll still be victims of manipulation. Now, I have a solution I think works. I believe works. And it's this: accountability optimization. Why? Because every single time you have been exposed to manipulation, you have lost the will to think clearly. There are lots of crimes that exist. Email crimes, email fraud crimes. There is even an aspect where this fraudster poses as a customer care representative to call someone. There are lots of... it's not your job to really keep up with every single one of them. Why? Because they are more updated on the update of the crime than you are. You are busy chasing your business and all that. They're looking to how to manipulate the next system and all that. But here is the one thing that can help you: accountability optimization.
Accountability optimization.
Every single time you find yourself in an experience that is uncommon to you, someone calls you out of the blue to demand something, or someone tries to get you to do something that have to do with your finance, it's always about your finances.
I mentioned about trust.
Yes.
I mentioned about trust. In my final year in school, I got a call from this person who probably knows me, right? And did a very good job to prove to me that we had a relationship in the past. A young man, and he was based in Abuja, and then told me that there was a job opening in road safety, stuff. And of course, I have a few friends who were done with school, who have been jobless for the past 3, 4, 5 years, right? And he told me that there was this job opening, and I was like, okay, this would be a good opportunity. First time I was experiencing fraud, right? I felt so terrible, because he took advantage of my trust, right? And he called me, he lets me know that, okay, that I will have to pay, I think at the time it was 50,000 naira, for the processing and everything. Assured me that this job was legit, right? I called my friend and told him, okay, this is it, you have a job opening, right? He sent me 50,000, I sent to this guy. The next day he calls me. He said that the competition is intense, right? That a lot of people who are, trying to boycott this process. I should send 100,000. I sent 100,000. He kept on calling. I probably sent up to 500,000 naira.
Wow.
Yes, I probably sent up to 500,000 naira, only for this guy, and he now called and demanded for 250. Right, and then I told him, you know what? I'm done. We can't go ahead with this.
Here's one thing that would have saved you a lot of stress.
Accountability. That's what I was going to. If I had someone, if I've spoken to this.
Yes, with someone else. Don't forget, you're being influenced by manipulation. You can't think clearly. You can't see the missing links. You can't see what is wrong. You're being influenced by manipulation. You need someone who is outside the influence to look at the discussion, to look at the experience you're in and tell you, this is fraud.
I mean, at the time,
this is fraud.
I had people. I had people in very sensitive positions I could have even called to find out, right? But I was vulnerable because they took advantage of the fact that, number one, it was trust, right? And also for the fact that I wanted to help someone. But then accountability, like you said, accountability. If you can tell someone, if you can share that update, that information, that call with someone else who has a different perspective from the one you already have, it will go a long way to help you. Again, I also think the paradigm shift, right? The paradigm shift. The third one, I think, responsibility, right? Now, we need a paradigm shift in our nation with these young people. Now, why do I say a paradigm shift? Number one, I think we have a generation of young people who believe that hard work doesn't pay. right? Do you know the amount of hard work it takes to do fraud? But for some reason,
takes a lot of hard work.
It takes a lot of hard work.
There are people who are in this thing for months, and it takes a lot of hard work for these crimes to be perpetuated.
Yes,
accurately.
It does.
Now, the thing is, I strongly believe the reason people still go into this different kind of hard work is because it's more simple for them. They have seen the results. I mean, a person going into internet fraud knows, well, let me just keep doing this. Let me keep doing this. It's going to pay off.
Yeah.
It's still the same thing that happens if they choose to deploy their giftings, their potentials, and all that.
Very true.
The same thing.
And I need to say this, right? Which is the point we're trying to make about paradigm shift.
Yes.
You're out there, you're a young person, you have advantage. You have advantage of time.
Yeah.
You have advantage of knowledge. You have advantage of information. You're gifted.
Yeah.
You're talented.
Yeah.
You're lucky to be born in a time where there are limitless possibilities.
Yes. And most importantly, you're also lucky to be born in a nation or a continent that have a lot of problems.
A lot of problems, right? Because we do understand that wealth comes from solving problems, creating values, and making a positive difference, right? Primarily, right? And you have what it takes to command any of these three possibilities.
Yeah.
Literally.
And if you can't see opportunities in the problems that exist, you're part of the problem.
Exactly.
You're part of the problem.
Exactly. Right.
Now, to wrap this up, internet fraud have caused a menace in the society, in the nation, in families, and on an individual level. Now, as a nation, going out there to represent your country already gives you this persona, this identification as a country that is involved with fraud. Right? If you Google the number one country that is the most fraudulent, your country will show up Nigeria. And it has affected we as a nation, the perception that people have of us as a nation.
We can't even go into explaining the weight of the national defamation that this has given us at the global stage, right? Because a lot of times crime might be private, but it's not personal. It's not personal. It has national consequences. We need to realize that it has family consequences. And there are people, and it also has individual consequences. Because I think it's one of the things that we are not aware of, the depth and weight of consequences that comes with internet fraud or Yahoo Plus, shedding blood, right? Or trying to partner with a deity to make money. You for crying out loud, you're born in a time where it is easiest to make money.
Yes, it's now very easy to make money. With the advent of artificial intelligence, with the advent of social media and all that, you can reach out to a whole lot of people with the things you do. So
I think we'll have to wrap this up.
Yes, we'll be wrapping this up here. Obviously and definitely we'll be bringing a part 2 of this where we really address the issues that we couldn't address here. Now,
there's a lot to say about this.
Watch out to the next episode we'll be dropping. It will be focused on prostitution. As a young girl, what is the problem with the fact that it's only the times where the body is being sold that money is manifested? As a young girl, why are you being taken advantage of on the most precious gift that you have available to you? And what exactly are you supposed to do about this? Now, watch out when we discuss this on our next episode. And thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to these channels to hear more wonderful things like this. Thank you for listening.